The year was 2087, and humanity stood on the edge of something extraordinary. For decades, scientists had been scanning the skies, searching for signs of life beyond Earth. Telescopes pointed toward distant stars, listening for whispers from the universe, but nothing came, until now. It happened late one night at NASA's Deep Space Observatory in New Mexico. Dr. Aaron Blake, a quiet man with glasses that always seemed too big for his face, sat hunched over his computer screen. His eyes were red from lack of sleep, but he didn't care. He was close. The signals they had picked up earlier in the week weren't random noise. They carried patterns, structure. Something, or someone, was sending them. "Laura," Aaron called out, his voice trembling slightly. Lieutenant Laura Hayes looked up from her workstation across the room. She was younger than Aaron, with sharp features and an even sharper mind. Together, they made a good team. "What is it?" she asked, walking over quickly. I think I've got it." Aaron tapped a few keys, and the screen filled with lines of data. "It's not just static. It's a message." Laura leaned in, her brow furrowing as she studied the information. "Are you sure? This could be natural interference or—" "No," Aaron interrupted gently. "Look at this sequence here. And this repetition. It's deliberate. Someone sent this to us." For hours, they worked side by side, decoding the transmission. It wasn't easy. The language was unlike anything they'd ever seen before, full of strange symbols and mathematical formulas. But slowly, piece by piece, they began to understand. By morning, they had translated enough to get the gist of it. And what they found shocked them. The message came from a species calling themselves the Valens. They claimed to represent the Galactic Council, a group of advanced civilizations spread across the stars. At first, the tone seemed neutral, almost friendly. But as the translation progressed, the words grew colder, harsher. The Council mocked humanity, calling them primitive and insignificant. They said Earth was like a child playing with toys, unaware of the vastness around them. When news of the message broke, the world reacted with outrage. People gathered in cities, holding protests under banners that read, "We are not primitive." Governments scrambled to respond, unsure how to handle such a public insult. Some argued for diplomacy, while others pushed for immediate action to prove humanity's worth. But amidst the chaos, there were sparks of hope. In labs and workshops around the globe, inventors and engineers worked tirelessly. One of them was Ethan Cole, a young man with messy hair and a knack for solving impossible problems. He had spent years developing new propulsion technology, dreaming of the day humanity would reach the stars. Now, more than ever, he felt driven to succeed. Ethan's latest prototype promised speeds far beyond anything achieved before. If it worked, it could take humans to other star systems within months instead of centuries. But testing it wouldn't be easy. Space travel was dangerous, and failure meant losing not only resources but lives. Still, Ethan refused to give up. As he tinkered with the engine late into the night, he thought about the Valen message. Their words echoed in his mind, taunting him. But instead of anger, he felt determination. Humanity might have been mocked, but they weren't defeated. Not yet. Somewhere out there, among the countless stars, lay answers. And Ethan knew, deep down, that humanity would find them. The outrage over the Valen message spread like wildfire across the globe. News channels replayed clips of the translation, showing humanity's supposed insignificance in the eyes of the Galactic Council. Social media exploded with hashtags like #ProveThemWrong and #HumanityUnites. For the first time in history, people everywhere felt a shared sense of purpose. The insult had stung, but it also lit a fire beneath them. In response, world leaders called an emergency meeting at the United Nations headquarters in New York City. President Daniel Carter, a tall man with graying hair and a calm demeanor, stood before the assembly. His voice was steady as he addressed the crowd. "We've been told we're too small, too weak, too unimportant to join the stars," he said. But I refuse to believe that. Humanity has faced challenges before, and every time, we've risen to meet them. Today it is no different." The room erupted in applause. Behind him, General Samantha Ford nodded approvingly. She was a no-nonsense woman who had spent decades serving her country. Her presence gave weight to the president's words. Together, they unveiled their plan. The creation of the Terran Alliance, a global initiative to unite Earth's nations under one banner for space exploration and defense. The Alliance wasted no time. Resources were pooled, and scientists from all corners of the planet began collaborating on projects that had once seemed impossible. Laboratories buzzed with activity as teams worked around the clock. Among these efforts was Ethan Cole's propulsion technology. His prototype engine, nicknamed the Quantum Slipstream Drive, became a top priority. If successful, it could propel ships faster than anything humanity had ever built. Ethan wasn't used to being in the spotlight. He preferred working alone in his garage-turned lab, surrounded by tools and blueprints. But now, cameras followed his every move. Journalists interviewed him, asking how he felt about representing humanity's future. Ethan didn't have much to say. He just wanted to focus on making the engine work. Testing the drive proved difficult. Early trials ended in failure, with engines overheating or breaking apart entirely. Each setback weighed heavily on Ethan, but he refused to quit. Late one night, as he sat staring at his designs, a knock came at the door. It was Laura Hayes, the lieutenant who had helped decode the Valen message. "I heard you've been burning the midnight oil," she said with a small smile. "Thought you might need some company." Ethan shrugged, just trying to figure out what went wrong this time. Laura stepped inside, looking around at the cluttered workspace. "You know, you don't have to do this alone. That's what the Alliance is for, to bring people together." Her words struck a chord. Ethan realized he'd been so focused on solving problems himself that he hadn't considered asking for help. Over the next few weeks, he opened up to other engineers and physicists. Together, they refined the design, addressing flaws he hadn't noticed before. Meanwhile, public support for the Alliance grew stronger. Schools incorporated lessons about space exploration into their curriculums. Artists painted murals of rockets soaring into the stars. Even children played games where they pretended to be astronauts defending Earth from alien threats. The dream of reaching the stars had captured everyone's imagination. Finally, after months of hard work, the Quantum Slipstream Drive passed its final test. A small unmanned probe equipped with the engine successfully traveled to Mars in record time. When the news broke, celebrations erupted worldwide. Fireworks lit up the skies, and people cheered in the streets. President Carter appeared on television to announce the next step, building a manned spacecraft capable of carrying humans beyond the solar system. Named Horizon 1, the ship would be humanity's first real attempt to prove itself to the Galactic Council. As Ethan watched the announcement from his lab, he felt a mix of pride and nervousness. They were closer than ever to achieving something incredible. But deep down, he knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. The Council had mocked them, and proving them wrong wouldn't happen overnight. Still, for the first time in a long while, Ethan allowed himself to feel hopeful. Humanity might have started as a small, fragile species on a tiny planet, but they were determined to show the galaxy what they were made of. And Ethan Cole knew he would play a big part in making that happen. The construction of Horizon 1 was a monumental task, but humanity poured every resource it had into making the spacecraft a reality. Engineers worked tirelessly in massive hangars, welding metal and assembling components with precision. The ship was unlike anything Earth had ever built, sleek, powerful, and equipped with Ethan Cole's revolutionary Quantum Slipstream Drive. It represented hope, determination, and the refusal to back down when faced with doubt. Captain Ryan Mitchell was chosen to lead the mission. A seasoned astronaut with years of experience, Ryan had a calm presence that inspired confidence in his crew. He wasn't flashy or loud. Instead, he led by example, always putting the safety of his team first. When he stood before reporters at the launch press conference, his words were simple but meaningful. "We're not just flying this ship for ourselves," he said. "We're flying it for everyone who believes we can do more than survive. We can thrive." The day of the test flight arrived, and anticipation hung thick in the air. Thousands gathered outside the Space Center to watch as Horizon 1 prepared for liftoff. Inside the cockpit, Ryan double-checked the controls alongside his co-pilot, Lieutenant Laura Hayes. The two had worked together before, and their chemistry was evident. They communicated without needing many words, trusting each other completely. As the engines roared to life, the ground shook beneath the crowd's feet. Flames erupted from the base of the ship, lighting up the sky. With a deafening roar, Horizon 1 lifted off, climbing higher and higher until it disappeared into the clouds. Everyone cheered, but the hardest part was yet to come. The plan was to take the ship on a long-distance test run near Saturn. If the quantum slipstream drive performed as expected, they would reach the gas giant in hours instead of months. For the first leg of the journey, everything went smoothly. The drive hummed with energy, propelling the ship faster than any human-made craft had ever traveled. The crew marveled at the sight of Earth shrinking behind them, its blue-green surface fading into the blackness of space. But as they approached Saturn, something unexpected happened. Sensors picked up an unidentified object moving toward them at incredible speed. At first, the crew thought it might be debris or a malfunction, but then a voice crackled over their communication system. "Unidentified vessel, you are trespassing in restricted space. Turn back immediately." Ryan frowned, exchanging a glance with Laura. "Who is this?" he asked, addressing the unknown speaker. "This is Commander Zevak of the Zorathian Guard," came the reply. "You have entered territory claimed by the Galactic Council. Leave now or face consequences." The tension in the cockpit was palpable. The Zorathians were another alien species, one humanity knew little about. Their reputation wasn't friendly. They were rumored to enforce the Council's rules with brutal efficiency. Ryan took a deep breath before responding. "We mean no harm," he said calmly. "We're conducting a test flight of our new propulsion system. We'll leave as soon as our mission is complete." There was a pause, followed by a cold laugh. "Your primitive technology is of no interest to us. The Council has already deemed you unworthy. Continuing your efforts will only bring destruction upon your kind." Laura leaned closer to Ryan, whispering urgently. "They're trying to intimidate us. Do we retreat?" Ryan hesitated. Retreating would mean admitting defeat, something he wasn't ready to do. On the other hand, provoking the Zorathians could lead to disaster. After a moment, he made his decision. "We're leaving," he said into the communicator. "But know this, we won't stop exploring. Humanity doesn't back down because someone tells us we're not good enough." Without waiting for a response, Ryan activated the slipstream drive, propelling Horizon 1 away from Saturn and back toward Earth. The Zorathian ship didn't follow, but the encounter left the crew shaken. When they returned home, news of the incident spread quickly. Some criticized Ryan for retreating, while others praised him for avoiding conflict. Despite the mixed reactions, one thing was clear: humanity couldn't ignore the challenges ahead. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, but Ryan's bravery during the confrontation inspired millions. People saw him not as a symbol of fear, but as proof that humanity could stand tall, even in the face of overwhelming odds. Back at Mission Control, Ethan Cole watched footage of the test flight, his mind racing. The slipstream drive had worked perfectly, proving humanity's potential. But the encounter with the Zorathians reminded him of how much work still lay ahead. Reaching the stars wouldn't be easy, not with forces like the Galactic Council standing in their way. Still, Ethan felt a flicker of determination ignite within him. If humanity wanted to earn its place among the stars, they would need to keep pushing forward, no matter what obstacles arose. The success of Horizon 1's test flight gave humanity a much-needed boost of confidence. Despite the unsettling encounter with the Zorathians, The mission proved that Earth's new technology could compete with the advanced systems of alien civilizations. The quantum slipstream drive worked flawlessly, and the ship returned home intact. But the real challenge was just beginning. With the slipstream drive validated, the Terran Alliance decided it was time for humanity's first official journey beyond the solar system. The destination: Proxima Centauri, the closest star system to Earth. Rumors suggested there might be habitable planets orbiting its stars, making it an ideal target for exploration. If humanity could find a new world, it would send a powerful message to the Galactic Council. Earth wasn't just surviving, it was expanding. Commander Melissa Hart was chosen to lead the expedition. A sharp-minded and resourceful leader, Melissa had spent years training for missions like this. Her crew included scientists, engineers, and medical officers, each hand-picked for their skills and resilience. Among them was Dr. Aaron Blake, who had helped decode the Valen message, and Ethan Cole, whose expertise with the slipstream drive made him indispensable. As Horizon 1 prepared for launch, excitement rippled across the globe. People gathered in parks and city squares to watch the countdown on giant screens. Children held up handmade signs reading "Good luck, Horizon," while adults whispered prayers for the crew's safe return. For many, this mission represented more than science. It was a step toward proving humanity's worth in a galaxy that doubted them. The launch went smoothly, and Horizon 1 entered slipstream mode shortly after leaving Earth's orbit. Days passed quickly as the crew traveled through the void of space. Inside the ship, life followed a strict routine. Meals were eaten together, experiments were conducted, and repairs were made to keep everything running smoothly. But despite the structured schedule, tensions began to rise. Living in such close quarters took its toll. Arguments broke out over minor issues. A misplaced tool, a miscalculation in data, or even someone playing music too loudly. Dr. Blake tried to mediate, reminding everyone why they were here. "We're not just representing ourselves," he said during one particularly heated debate. "We're representing all of humanity. Let's act like it." Melissa agreed, but she knew keeping morale high wouldn't be easy. To distract the crew, she encouraged them to focus on the mission ahead. They reviewed maps of Proxima Centauri, studied potential landing sites, and ran simulations to prepare for every possible scenario. Slowly, the arguments faded, replaced by a renewed sense of purpose. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Horizon 1 arrived at Proxima Centauri. The sight of the triple star system filled the crew with awe. Its red dwarf sun glowed faintly against the blackness of space, surrounded by swirling clouds of dust and gas. Using their sensors, the team scanned the area for planets. It didn't take long to find one, a rocky world orbiting within the habitable zone of one of the stars. When they landed, the crew stepped onto the surface with a mix of wonder and caution. The planet was unlike anything they'd seen before. Towering trees with bioluminescent leaves stretched toward the sky, and rivers of shimmering liquid flowed across the landscape. It was beautiful, but also strange and unpredictable. As they explored, the team discovered something extraordinary. Ruins. Ancient structures half buried in the soil hinted at a civilization that had once thrived here. Dr. Blake carefully examined the markings etched into the stone walls. "This isn't natural," he murmured. "Someone built this. Someone intelligent." News of the discovery spread quickly back to Earth. Scientists pored over images and data sent by the crew, trying to piece together the story of the mysterious builders. Meanwhile, the crew continued their investigation. They found tools, fragments of art, and even remnants of writing, but no sign of the beings who had created them. The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't alone in the universe, and they weren't the first species to reach for the stars. But as Melissa looked at the ruins, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to uncover. Who had lived here? And what had happened to them? For now, answers remained elusive. But one thing was certain. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger, more complex universe. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they were ready to face them. together. The discovery of the ancient ruins on Proxima Centauri's habitable planet sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council. News of humanity's achievement reached them faster than anyone expected. Thanks to a long-range transmission sent by Commander Melissa Hart, the Council had underestimated Earth, assuming it would take centuries, or even millennia, for humans to venture beyond their solar system. Now, they were forced to confront the reality that humanity was advancing far quicker than anticipated. An emergency summit was called, and representatives from Earth were invited to attend. For the first time, humanity would stand face to face with the beings who had mocked them. President Daniel Carter personally selected the delegation. Dr. Aaron Blake, whose knowledge of alien languages and artifacts made him invaluable. General Samantha Ford, representing Earth's military strength, and Captain Ryan Mitchell, whose bravery during the Zorathian encounter had made him a symbol of human resilience. The journey to the Council's headquarters was tense. Horizon 1 traveled through slipstream space, carrying the delegates toward a massive orbital station known as the Nexus. As they approached, the sheer scale of the structure left the crew in awe. It was a sprawling city suspended in space, its gleaming towers connected by glowing bridges. Ships of all shapes and sizes docked at its edges, belonging to countless alien species. Humanity's small, sleek spacecraft looked almost insignificant in comparison. When the delegation stepped onto the station, they were met with stares, some curious, others hostile. The council chamber was an enormous room with a domed ceiling that shimmered like liquid silver. At the center stood a circular platform where representatives addressed the assembly. Rows of seats surrounded it, occupied by ambassadors from various alien civilizations. Each ambassador radiated power and authority, their appearances ranging from humanoid figures to creatures so alien they barely resembled life as Earth knew it. President Carter led the group to the platform, his posture straight and confident despite the overwhelming atmosphere. Beside him, General Ford kept a watchful eye on their surroundings, her hand resting near her sidearm. Dr. Blake clutched a data tablet containing evidence of the ruins, while Ryan stood tall, his expression calm but resolute. The session began with Lord Daxar, ambassador of the Krylos Empire, speaking first. He was a towering figure with iridescent scales covering his body and piercing yellow eyes. His voice boomed across the chamber as he addressed the humans. "You dare bring your primitive presence here," he sneered. "Your kind is like insects crawling out of the dirt, thinking yourselves worthy of joining the stars." The words stung, but President Carter didn't flinch. Instead, he stepped forward, his voice steady. "We are not here to beg for acceptance," he said. "We are here because we have proven ourselves capable of reaching beyond our world. We've discovered traces of an ancient civilization that once thrived among the stars. Perhaps you know something about them." Dr. Blake held up the tablet, displaying images of the ruins. Murmurs rippled through the chamber as the council members exchanged uneasy glances. Some shifted uncomfortably in their seats, clearly unsettled by the revelation. Lord Daxar's smirk faltered for a moment, but he quickly recovered. "Such discoveries mean nothing," he spat. "You lack the wisdom to understand what you found. Your meddling will only lead to your destruction." Ryan stepped forward then, his tone firm but respectful. "With all due respect, sir, humanity has faced challenges before. Every time, we've risen to meet them. Mock us if you want, but we won't stop exploring. We won't stop learning. And we certainly won't let fear dictate our future." His words echoed through the chamber, drawing silence from the crowd. Even Lord Daxar seemed momentarily taken aback. For the first time, humanity wasn't cowering or backing down. They were standing tall, unafraid to challenge the arrogance of those who thought themselves superior. As the session ended, the delegation returned to their ship, aware that this confrontation was just the beginning. The council hadn't changed its stance, but something important had shifted. Humanity had planted a seed of doubt in the minds of their critics. Earth might still be seen as weak and inexperienced, but no one could deny their determination. and that alone was a victory worth celebrating. Back on Earth, the delegation's bold performance at the Galactic Council Summit became a source of pride for humanity. News outlets replayed clips of Captain Rand Mitchell's defiant speech, and social media buzzed with admiration. People saw hope in his words, a promise that humanity wouldn't be bullied or held back. But behind the scenes, archaeologists and scientists were hard at work unraveling the secrets of the ruins discovered on Proxima Centauri's planet. Dr. Aaron Blake led the effort, poring over the artifacts brought back by Horizon 1. Each day revealed new details about the mysterious civilization that had once called the planet home. The markings etched into the stone walls told stories of prosperity and innovation, but also hinted at conflict and downfall. Slowly, a clearer picture began to emerge. This ancient race, known as the Eldari, had been advanced far beyond anything humanity could currently achieve. They had built cities among the stars, created technologies that defied understanding, and formed alliances across galaxies. But their reign hadn't lasted. Something, or someone, had destroyed them. The breakthrough came when Dr. Blake deciphered a series of symbols buried deep within the ruins. The translation painted a grim picture. The Eldari had fallen victim to the very same Galactic Council that now mocked humanity. Long ago, the Council had seen the Eldari as a threat to their dominance, and waged war against them. Entire worlds were wiped out, civilizations erased, all to maintain control over the galaxy. When this revelation reached President Daniel Carter, he called an emergency meeting with General Samantha Ford and other top advisors. "This changes everything," Carter said, his voice heavy with emotion. "The Council isn't just arrogant, they're dangerous. They've done this before, and they'll do it again if we don't stop them." General Ford nodded, her jaw tight. "We can't let fear paralyze us. If anything, this proves we're doing the right thing by pushing forward. We have to prepare for what's coming." Word of the Eldari's fate spread cautiously among Earth's leaders, but was kept hidden from the public. For now. Instead, the Terran Alliance focused on strengthening its defenses. Underground networks sprang up, smuggling supplies and building secret bases in remote locations. Engineers worked tirelessly to adapt Ethan Cole's quantum slipstream drive into faster, more efficient models. Weapons systems were upgraded, and training programs intensified for soldiers and pilots alike. Meanwhile, Sarah Dawson, a former diplomat turned resistance leader, emerged as a key figure in organizing covert efforts against the Council. She had spent years negotiating treaties between nations, but diplomacy felt useless against an enemy as ruthless as the Council. Now she channeled her skills into rallying support for humanity's cause. Her network grew rapidly, connecting rebels across continents and even reaching sympathetic alien factions who shared a mutual hatred for the Council's tyranny. One such faction was the Xiren Collective, a group of traders and scavengers who operated on the fringes of Council-controlled space. They despised the Council's oppressive trade restrictions and saw humanity's rise as an opportunity to strike back. Through Sarah's negotiations, the Xirens agreed to share intelligence and resources in exchange for protection, once Earth gained a foothold in galactic politics. As preparations continued, tensions escalated. The Council imposed harsh sanctions on Earth, cutting off access to critical resources and blockading human ships attempting to leave the solar system. Food shortages began to affect some regions, and protests erupted in cities worldwide. Yet, instead of crumbling under pressure, humanity rallied together. Farmers shared crops, engineers repurposed old materials, and communities supported one another through acts of kindness and solidarity. Ethan Cole played a crucial role during this time, unveiling a revolutionary weapon system designed to neutralize enemy shields. Using principles derived from the Eldari ruins, he created a device capable of disrupting energy fields, a game-changer in any potential battle. When tested successfully, cheers erupted in the lab, but Ethan remained focused. He knew the road ahead would be difficult, but every step brought humanity closer to proving itself. In quiet moments, Ryan Mitchell often thought about the Council's arrogance and the Eldari's tragic fate. Humanity might have started as small and fragile, but they refused to stay that way. As he stood beneath the stars one night, gazing up at the vastness above, he felt a surge of determination. Earth wasn't just fighting for survival, it was fighting for freedom, justice, and the chance to carve its own destiny among the stars. And Ryan knew, no matter how daunting the challenge, humanity would rise to meet it. The blockade imposed by the Galactic Council began to take its toll on Earth. Ships trying to leave the solar system were intercepted and turned back, their crews detained or worse. Supplies dwindled, and the strain on humanity's resources grew unbearable. But instead of breaking, people found ways to adapt. Farmers planted extra crops, engineers designed makeshift tools from scrap metal, and ordinary citizens volunteered their time to help those in need. The Council had underestimated one thing: humanity's ability to endure. Despite the hardships, resistance movements continued to grow stronger. Sarah Dawson worked tirelessly, coordinating efforts between rebel groups on Earth and sympathetic alien factions like the Tyran Collective. Her network smuggled fuel, weapons, and food through secret routes, keeping the Terran Alliance alive. Underground labs churned out innovations at a rapid pace, thanks to Ethan Cole's tireless work. His shield-disrupting weapon was mass-produced and installed on every ship capable of spaceflight. Humanity wasn't just preparing for survival, they were gearing up for war. One fateful night, Horizon 1 received orders to patrol near the edge of human-controlled space. Captain Ryan Mitchell led the mission, accompanied by Lieutenant Laura Hayes and a small but skilled crew. Their goal was simple: monitor Council activity and gather intelligence. No one expected them to engage directly with enemy forces until disaster struck. As they approached a cluster of asteroids, sensors detected movement. At first, it seemed like debris, but soon the unmistakable shapes of Krylos warships emerged from the shadows. There were 6 of them, sleek and menacing, surrounding Horizon 1 in seconds. Alarms blared inside the cockpit as the crew scrambled to respond. "We're outnumbered," Laura said, her voice tense. "What do we do?" Ryan's mind raced. They couldn't outrun the Krylos ships, not without risking damage to the slipstream drive. But surrendering wasn't an option either. He glanced at the control panel, where Ethan's new weapon system glowed faintly. It hadn't been tested in combat yet, but they had no other choice. "Activate the disruptor," Ryan ordered. "Target their lead ship." The crew hesitated for only a moment before following his command. With a flick of a switch, the weapon hummed to life, emitting a pulse of energy that rippled through space. The lead Krylos ship shuddered violently as its shields collapsed. Sparks erupted across its hull, and the vessel veered off course, colliding with one of its companions. The remaining ships faltered, clearly unprepared for such a tactic. Seizing the opportunity, Ryan activated the slipstream drive, propelling Horizon 1 into the safety of faster-than-light travel. Behind them, the Krylos fleet scrambled to regroup, but it was too late. The humans had escaped. When Horizon 1 returned to Earth, news of the skirmish spread quickly. For the first time, humanity had faced the Council's forces head-on, and won. Celebrations broke out across the globe, with people cheering in the streets and waving flags emblazoned with Earth's symbol. The victory proved that humanity wasn't helpless. They could fight back, even against overwhelming odds. But the encounter also sent a clear message to the Galactic Council. Humanity was no longer an insignificant threat. Reports of the shield-disrupting weapon reached the Nexus, sparking panic among Council members. Lord Daxar demanded immediate action, calling for a full-scale invasion of Earth. Other ambassadors hesitated, unsure if attacking humanity outright would be wise. After all, the Eldari had once been considered unbeatable. And look what had happened to them. Back on Earth, President Daniel Carter addressed the nation, acknowledging the bravery of Horizon 1's crew while urging caution. "This is not the end," he said. "It's only the beginning. We've shown the galaxy that we won't back down, but the road ahead will be difficult. Stay strong, stay united, and remember why we're fighting: for our freedom, our future, and our place among the stars. As the Terran Alliance prepared for the battles to come, a sense of purpose swept over humanity. They had been mocked, underestimated, and pushed to the brink, but they refused to give up. Every setback made them stronger. Every challenge forged them into something greater. And though the fight was far from over, one truth became undeniable: humanity was ready to face whatever came next. The victory against the Krylos fleet ignited a fire within humanity. News of Horizon 1's daring escape and successful use of Ethan Cole's shield-disrupting weapon spread like wildfire, inspiring millions. People who had once doubted Earth's ability to stand up to the Galactic Council now believed in their potential. Resistance movements grew stronger, drawing support from all corners of the planet. Underground networks expanded, smuggling supplies, sharing intelligence, and training volunteers to defend their world. Sarah Dawson became a symbol of this growing rebellion. Her leadership united not only humans, but also alien factions who were tired of the Council's tyranny. The Xiren Collective provided advanced materials for weapons and ships, while other disenfranchised groups offered tactical advice. Together, they formed an uneasy but powerful alliance. Humanity wasn't alone anymore. They had allies willing to fight alongside them. Ethan Cole worked around the clock, refining his inventions and developing new technologies. His shield disruptor was installed on every Terran Alliance ship, giving them a fighting chance against the Council's superior forces. He also designed smaller versions of the device that could be carried by ground troops, ensuring humanity would have an edge in any battle. Despite his exhaustion, Ethan felt a sense of purpose he'd never known before. Every tool he built brought Earth one step closer to freedom. Meanwhile, Captain Ryan Mitchell prepared for what everyone knew was inevitable: a direct confrontation with the Galactic Council. The skirmish near the asteroid belt had proven humanity could hold its own, but it was only a small victory. The Council wouldn't back down easily, and Ryan understood that the next encounter might mean all-out war. Still, he refused to let fear dictate his actions. "We've come too far to turn back now," he told his crew during a briefing. "If we're going to prove ourselves, we need to hit them where it hurts." That opportunity came sooner than expected. Intelligence gathered by Sarah's network revealed the location of a critical Council supply depot orbiting a distant moon. The depot served as a hub for resources and reinforcements, making it a vital link in the Council's chain of command. Destroying it would weaken their grip on nearby systems and send a clear message: humanity wasn't afraid to strike back. President Daniel Carter approved the mission, though he warned Ryan of the risks. "This isn't just about showing strength," Carter said. "It's about survival. If we fail, the Council will crush us without hesitation." With that in mind, Ryan led a small fleet of modified ships toward the target. Alongside him were pilots and soldiers trained in guerrilla tactics, ready to adapt to whatever challenges arose. As they approached the depot, tension filled the air. Sensors showed dozens of enemy vessels patrolling the area, their weapons primed for attack. "Stay calm," Ryan instructed over the comms. "Stick to the plan." Using Ethan's slipstream drive, the fleet slipped past the outer defenses undetected. Once inside, they launched a coordinated assault, targeting key structures with precision strikes. Explosions lit up the darkness as storage facilities and docking bays crumbled under relentless fire. Enemy ships scrambled to respond, but the shield disruptors gave humanity the upper hand. One by one, the Council's forces fell back, unable to counter the unexpected technology. By the time the fleet retreated, the depot was in ruins. The operation lasted less than an hour, but its impact reverberated across the galaxy. News of the attack reached the Nexus, sending shockwaves through the Council chambers. For the first time, humanity wasn't just a nuisance, it was a legitimate threat. Back on Earth, celebrations erupted once more. People cheered in the streets, waving banners and chanting slogans. But amidst the joy, there was also awareness of what lay ahead. The Council wouldn't forgive such an insult. Retaliation was certain. As Ryan gazed at the stars from the cockpit of Horizon 1, he felt a mix of pride and resolve. Humanity had taken another step forward, proving they were capable of standing toe-to-toe with the galaxy's most powerful forces. Yet he knew the hardest battles were still to come. The road to freedom would be long and dangerous. But together, humanity and its allies were ready to face whatever challenges awaited them. The destruction of the Council's supply depot marked a turning point in humanity's fight for survival. The Galactic Council, once dismissive and arrogant, now viewed Earth as a serious threat. Lord Daxor demanded immediate retaliation, calling for an all-out assault on humanity's homeworld. Other Council members hesitated, wary of underestimating their opponents again. But the Krylos ambassador's influence prevailed. Plans were drawn up for a massive invasion, a final attempt to crush Earth and erase its defiance from the galaxy. Word of the impending attack reached Earth through Sarah Dawson's network. Spies embedded within Council-controlled systems intercepted communications detailing the assault. Humanity had little time to prepare, but they weren't about to surrender without a fight. President Daniel Carter addressed the world one last time, his voice firm and steady. "This is our moment," he said. "They've underestimated us before, and we've proven them wrong. Now we stand together, not just to defend our planet, but to claim our place among the stars." Under General Samantha Ford's leadership, every available ship was mobilized. Civilian vessels were retrofitted with weapons and shield disruptors, while factories worked around the clock to produce ammunition and supplies. Ethan Cole personally oversaw the installation of his latest inventions on each vessel, ensuring humanity had every advantage possible. Pilots trained relentlessly, mastering new tactics designed to outmaneuver the Council's larger fleet. The climactic battle took place at the heart of the Galactic Council's territory, the Nexus itself. The orbital fortress served as both a symbol of the Council's power and its greatest vulnerability. If humanity could breach its defenses, they could strike a fatal blow against their oppressors. Captain Ryan Mitchell led the charge, commanding a ragtag fleet of human and allied ships. Among them were Axiran traders, Zorathian defectors, and other alien factions who had grown disillusioned with the Council's tyranny. As the fleet approached the Nexus, the sheer scale of the enemy forces became clear. Hundreds of warships surrounded the fortress, their weapons glowing ominously in the darkness of space. For a moment, even Ryan doubted whether they could succeed. But then he remembered the faces of those counting on him, the farmers, engineers, and families back on Earth who refused to give up. He clenched his fists around the controls and gave the order to engage. The battle was chaos. Explosions lit up the void as ships clashed in a deadly dance of lasers and missiles. Humanity's smaller, faster vessels darted between the enemy, using Ethan's shield disruptors to disable their targets. Enemy ships fell back, confused by the unexpected technology. Meanwhile, Sarah Dawson coordinated attacks from a hidden command center, relaying vital intelligence to the fleet. Her calm voice guided pilots through the chaos, helping them exploit weaknesses in the Council's defenses. Despite their efforts, the odds seemed insurmountable. Wave after wave of Council ships pressed forward, threatening to overwhelm the attackers. Then, a breakthrough. Ryan led a daring assault on the Nexus's main shield generator. Dodging fire from countless turrets, his squadron launched concentrated volleys that finally breached the structure. With the shields down, the fleet surged toward the fortress. Inside the Nexus, Ryan confronted Lord Daxor in a tense showdown. The Krylos ambassador sneered, confident in his superiority. "You think you can defeat me?" he growled. "You're nothing but insects." Ryan didn't respond. Instead, he acted, using quick reflexes and precise aim to disable Daxor's weapon. The two exchanged blows in a fierce struggle, but Ryan's determination gave him the edge. In the end, he stood victorious, holding Daxor at gunpoint. Using the Nexus's communication system, He broadcast the Council's atrocities to the entire galaxy, exposing their crimes against the Eldari and countless others. The revelation sparked outrage across the stars. Alien worlds that had once feared the Council now rose up in rebellion, joining forces with humanity. The Council collapsed in chaos, unable to maintain control over its fractured empire. As the dust settled, Ryan looked out at the battered but triumphant fleet. Humanity had done the impossible. They had faced the galaxy's most powerful force and emerged victorious. It wasn't just a win for Earth. It was a victory for anyone who believed in freedom and justice. And though the road ahead would be long, Ryan knew one thing for certain. Humanity had earned its place among the stars. In the aftermath of the battle at the Nexus, the galaxy found itself in a state of upheaval. The Galactic Council, once an unshakable force, had crumbled under the weight of its own corruption. Lord Daxar's defeat and the exposure of the Council's atrocities left a power vacuum that no single faction could fill. Alien worlds that had lived in fear for centuries now saw an opportunity to break free from oppression. Humanity, once mocked as primitive, emerged as a beacon of hope, a symbol of unity and resilience. President Daniel Carter wasted no time in seizing this moment. Alongside General Samantha Ford and Captain Ryan Mitchell, he worked tirelessly to establish a new governing body, the United Galactic Federation. Unlike the Council, which ruled through fear and domination, the Federation was built on principles of equality, cooperation, and mutual respect. Representatives from Earth, allied alien factions, and liberated planets came together to draft its charter. For the first time in galactic history, diverse species collaborated not out of obligation, but out of shared purpose. Ethan Cole played a key role in rebuilding efforts. His inventions became the foundation for technologies that benefited all members of the Federation. Faster-than-light communication systems allowed distant worlds to stay connected, while advancements in energy efficiency helped struggling planets recover from years of exploitation. Ethan often found himself invited to speak at conferences where he encouraged young inventors to dream big. "We've proven that even the smallest ideas can change the galaxy," he would say, his humility unchanged despite his newfound fame. Sarah Dawson transitioned from rebel leader to diplomat, working to mend relationships between former enemies. Her ability to listen and find common ground made her invaluable during negotiations. Many credited her with preventing further conflict as old rivalries threatened to resurface. Though she missed the thrill of covert operations, Sarah found deep satisfaction in helping build a better future. As for Ryan Mitchell, he became a legend, not just on Earth but across the stars. People spoke of his bravery during the final battle, how he had faced down one of the galaxy's most feared tyrants and won. Yet Ryan remained humble, always quick to remind others that victory belonged to everyone who had fought alongside him. When asked about his plans, he simply smiled. "I'm not done exploring yet," he said. "There's still so much we don't know about the universe." The Terran Alliance transformed into Earth's official space program, tasked with expanding humanity's reach into the cosmos. New ships were built, each equipped with Ethan's latest innovations. Missions launched regularly, carrying scientists, explorers, and settlers to distant star systems. Among these pioneers were ordinary people eager to start anew. Farmers planting crops on alien soil, teachers educating children born among the stars, and artists capturing the beauty of uncharted worlds. Back on Earth, life began to heal. Cities once strained by shortages flourished again, their streets filled with laughter and hope. Monuments were erected to honor those who had sacrificed everything for freedom. Children grew up hearing stories of courage and determination, learning that even the smallest actions could spark monumental change. One evening, Ryan stood on the bridge of Horizon 1, gazing out at the endless expanse of stars. Beside him, Laura Hayes joined quietly, holding 2 cups of coffee. She handed one to him with a grin. "Thinking about what's next?" she asked. Ryan nodded, taking the sip. "Yeah, it feels like we're just getting started." Laura chuckled. Good thing you've got me around to keep you grounded." They shared a laugh, the kind born from years of shared struggles and triumphs. As they looked out at the galaxy together, Ryan felt a profound sense of peace. Humanity had come so far, from being dismissed as insignificant to becoming leaders among the stars. There were challenges ahead, of course, but they faced them not as individuals or nations, but as part of something greater. For the first time in history, humanity truly belonged to the universe, and as Horizon 1 prepared for another journey into the unknown, Ryan knew one thing for certain: the best was yet to come.